So, I wanted to talk to you today about coping. Life is largely coping. So, I'm going to point out different elements of coping that you're going to run into and you need to gracefully withstand and have, if that makes sense. One of them is debt. Realize that there are levels of debt that you sometimes should go into, yeah? It's a good principle to not go into debt, but not always is it a good principle to not go into debt, if that makes sense. For instance, I sponsored an event about a week ago, a JP Morgan event. JP Morgan is one of the world's top banks. We were streaming in from them, for them from London, and they were having a probing type event where they would interact with the crowd and ask questions. They want to start a money sending system in Zimbabwe. I can't say too much about it, but it's a bit under wraps. But in order to do that, I had to go into a little bit of debt just to cover at least the food, venue, and all this stuff I had covered. But essentially, this is coping. So I'm pointing this out so that you realize that coping is part of the game, and also don't worry that you are coping. Don't worry that you are coping. It is actually absolutely part of the game. Secondly, an element in which you'll find yourself coping, I'm good, how are you? Will be productivity. I wanted to share certain ways that I think that make me able to be productive, despite tripping up, because I do trip up, I do mess up whatever I'm trying to do, but the idea is I also have a theme. So I follow the theme of what I'm trying to do, and generally it'll still get done at the end of the day, even if my target isn't perfectly hit. The theme of what I'm doing will still happen at the end of the day. For instance, let me try to give you an example. I'm trying to get brilliant public relations presence on the internet, because I know that public relations and people seeing your work and having a good opinion of your work, making your good works well known, makes you able to get work more easily and makes people have a good opinion of you by default. I just make that the theme of whatever that week is, right? Or that month or that year. It's always a constant theme to have good public relations, by the way. Perception management is the entire game in any business. The reason I'm using an iPhone right now, the idea is they've given me certainty that it's going to take a good video. I don't know that I'll always be using an iPhone, but I know that if I just whip it out and take a video right now, it should be good. But that in essence is the idea. You theme whatever you're doing. You'll catch yourself messing around, yes, it's part of life. You'll catch yourself doing the wrong thing, yes, it's part of life. But the idea is that you catch yourself, recover well. You probably cannot sprint the entire way, but the way you manage your recovery will reduce the time it takes for you to get there. So cope and be comfortable coping. Cope gracefully.